What's up, guys? It's the real main event, the Rogue Soldier, the essential Giant Crossfire.
And I'm Mrs Crossfire.
And once again, you guys are tuned into Caught
in Conversation. Shakalaka-laka.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 119 of Caught in Conversation. As always, I am your host, the essential John L. Crossfire.
And I am Nova Lee.
And today we are going round 2 with the Giant Kyote. And it's still, he repeated one of the lines from last week that got me, and it got me again with the, used to be 6'10", and then I lost a foot, so now I'm 5'10". And I had the exact same reaction.
The joke just
my
pops
asthma
every
is
time.
like, I'm not coughing as bad. I coughed a couple of times in this conversation, but it's mainly when I really start laughing that it gets me. And I started choking at one point when he threw the line out there again. And he's just like, sorry, it's my favorite joke, but pops me every time I hear it. It's hashtag shitty dad jokes, but shitty in the best way possible. It's like puns, right? The worse,
Yes.
the worse they are, the better they actually are. But
It's like horror movies when they're cheesy and bad. They're good.
yeah, like zombie movies. Sometimes they're like, but if you're in the mood for them, it's like the faker the gore.
Yes.
It's kind of better. Like it's just so over the top, and I want like borderline spaghetti strings for the guts. Honestly, like just
The sausages.
yeah. But as we record this, Novely, it's Monday. This is obviously going to drop on Sunday, so in 6 days' time. But we've just come back from Sydney, and unfortunately didn't get the result we wanted health-wise. My eyeballs are both on the brink of exploding. That's not an exaggeration. So now I'm on new eye drops yet again for the umpteenth time. You know, I don't know how many times they've chopped and changed, and I haven't been on these ones before, but they're really, I feel high. There's no other way to put it. But at the same time, the reason I feel high is because they are working and I can feel the difference. I'm hoping, you know, at the end of this, obviously after 4 weeks, I've got to throw them out and open a new batch. But I'm going to be on these for 6 weeks. We're going to go back to Sydney. We've got, I guess it technically is an emergency appointment because they wanted it to be 2 weeks, and then I stretched it to 4, and then I stretched it even further. I was like, look, you've given me repeats. If this med, you know, trial and error is all you got, can we just push it to 6, and that way other stuff we've got on, you know, doesn't clash with it. But yeah, I'm just sitting here on new meds for 6 weeks and hoping, and I'm not a religious person, but borderline praying that hopefully the stitches can finally come out, because I'm not doing good. I'm not coping. I want to start working out. I want to start, you know, just getting active. I've just weighed myself and I've lost a little bit more weight. Miss Nova Lee, she's having wins. She's just lost weight. As a podcast team, we're actually about to do a 50-kilometer walk. We're trying to raise, it was meant to be $500, but because we joined it as a team, it says we're raising $1,000 collectively. We're not expecting to get $1,000 in donations, but we will be sharing the link around and trying to document it on the podcast page and here on the podcasts.
Do some vlogs. Woo!
Yeah, and we're just, you know, you're technically killing 2 birds with 1 stone, and I'll be joining you because July you were meant to do the walk for breast cancer. You had sinusitis, you had RSV, so pretty much all of July you were out of commission, and then the last week, obviously,
We're just getting better.
last week we just, you know, we lost 3 days because we were traveling to and from Sydney for the eye appointment. But August, you're going to be doing that. Plus, we've signed up for the Fred Hollows Foundation, and we're trying to, you know, help restore sight. And obviously,
for our team,
it's a very, you know, very close to home thing here at Caught in Conversation. I am legally blind. Miss Nova Lee does wear glasses. So yeah, we're going to try and, you know, 1, help each other get fit, but 2, try and raise awareness for a great cause. But before we, you know, rant for too long, I just wanted to make sure I actually got the health out of the way, because last week I completely forgot to mention until the outro that, oh yeah, by the way, we're heading back to the eye doctor, so stay tuned. But yeah, obviously, as always, the vlogs will be the most up-to-date, because I usually drop them the day we get home, because I kind of edit them as we're going, because it gives me something to do while we're on the train. And yada, 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 depending on how my eyes are feeling. But Miss Nova Lee, if you'd like to give us the song and match of the week, and we'll explain why, and then you can give one of your great intros, and then you guys can hear this awesome conversation with Giant Kyote.
Alrighty, so your song of the week for episode 119 was Angel of the Morning by Juice Newton, and your match of the week was Christopher Daniels versus Stephen Amell at All In September 1st, 2018.
And the reason we have picked these, Novalee, is...
Well, the reason for the song of the week was because it's my dad's birthday today as we record this, Monday the 29th of July, and he's unfortunately passed away, so it's a big memorial thing for us. One of his favourite artists ever was Juice Newton, so that's why I said, can we do that as like a little memorial for my dad kind of thing on this like sad but kind of like happy day, like celebrating it, like bittersweet.
Yeah, I was about to say bittersweet was the word I think you were looking for. Yeah, no, it's...
Yeah. And the reason for the match of the week is because we quite brought up Christopher Daniels a lot again, just touching over some of the stuff we glossed over from the previous episode with Kyote. And also we brought up Stephen Amell. So
tail end of the conversation, we had a funny little story from Kyote, and
I can't wait to have him on again because he always just comes up like all these little stories like just spark back up. Well, I mean, they're just great to hear.
20 plus years in the wrestling business.
Yeah. He's got a lot of stories to tell.
And he's also just a massive nerd. Literal massive nerd because he's 6'10". So, I would want to get him back on here and just... obviously, I think I'm assuming, and this is what I should have asked him, but I guess I'll ask him if he's... when he comes back, we'll ask him. I'm assuming he's more of a DC guy just because he loves Batman, but I'm more of a Marvel guy. But I do prefer both. But
I'm a tweener.
Maybe we could get some match suggestions for Kyote when we eventually do the DC, because obviously we're gonna.
I was gonna say, could we just have him on that episode?
Oh, we could. We could try and we could have like a conference call with Kyote and Mighty Kai, and
it'd be fun. I wonder if we could do that.
Yeah, man. But if definitely some sort of input from Kyote. Maybe we'll have if we can't get Kyote on the episode, we'll definitely have like a Kyote's choice match where he just throws out two people.
Yes.
And then myself, you, and Kai, we just go, hey, this wrestler and this character is off duty because off limits because Kyote's already put him in a match.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it'll probably like Batman versus The Undertaker or Batman versus someone, but...
It's still be cool.
But yeah, man, like definitely want to nerd out with Kyote a little bit more. And he's, again, as we're recording this intro, he's already messaging me and thanking me. But I want to say, no, thank you, Kyote. I almost just said his shoot name because I was reading the message. But no, I appreciate you giving this... We're not a big podcast. We're not. And, I mean, it'd be great to be a big podcast, but we're just here doing our thing. We're just doing this because we enjoy it, and
just spread some positivity ourselves,
which you'll hear me ranting about at the tail end of the episode. But yeah, that's why we're a little bit emotional because, as you said, the song of the week was picked for Novalee's dad, and then obviously the match of the week ties in with the conversation here. But I enjoy having these conversations, and no matter who we have on, it's always like a therapy session just because you're basically just having a conversation with your friends for, an hour and a half. But I just really appreciate Kyote coming on and, just shooting the shit with us, I guess, for lack of a better term. But Novalee, I'll say, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Whoop. So nice, I pressed it twice. I mean, look, it's round 2 with Giant Kyote. He deserves it. But Novalee, if you'd like to give us your most giant introduction here for the Giant Kyote, and we can...
Alrighty. Spreading the power of positivity and good vibes, the Giant Kyote!
Alright, we're going live this time.
Alright, we're going live, pal.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here with the Giant Kyote. We had some technical issues to begin with, and then we're waiting for Kyote, and now I've ruined Miss Novalee's notes. We're all laughs and smiles here, but we are here. This is round 2. So now, Miss Novalee, you did just ask Kyote the question, but if you'd like to repeat your question, and let's just jump straight in here for round 2.
All right,
Round two.
Fire that editor. That damn editor needs to be fired.
John.
So we're doing it. We're jumping straight in.
Yes.
Let's go.
So you mentioned on the last episode that you went international before you actually went interstate. So just tell us a little bit about your New Zealand trip, and how it became to be so early on in your career that you went international, and your experience leaving the country for wrestling.
Sure. Okay. So I was wrestling full time at that point for. Obviously, I started with WCW Australia, who had then become MIW at the time, so Major Impact Wrestling, and who are now IPW Queensland or IPW Australia. And they had a really amazing working relationship with IPW in New Zealand. So by this point in time, I had been wrestling full-time for over a year, as I had debuted as Giant Kyote in January of 2005. And we were doing weekly shows as well. So I was wrestling every weekend. I was still in high school as well. So I'm doing high school and then wrestling on weekends.
Holy shit.
Jesus.
Yeah. So 2006, I'm in year 12. I had just turned 18 as well. And I was also Australian Hardcore Champion. It was my first singles title that I had won earlier in 2006. I won it in, I think, February 06. And had been defending the title in MIW. And I approached Hawk because we just had a load of the IPW guys from New Zealand come over. And we used to do a lot of, like, rival turf shows. So, like, their guys versus ours, or some of our guys would go over there. And... so I approached Hawk and I asked him how he would feel about me going over there, if he felt that I was good enough to go overseas. And Hawk, being Hawk, looks at me like, "You think you're good enough?" I'm like, yes, boss. I think I'll do you proud. Oh, I don't know. They'll eat you alive over there in New Zealand. I'm like, no, it'll be fine. It'll be good. You know. If I go over, I'd like to take the title. And he's like, "Want to take the hardcore belt?" I'm like, "Yeah, please, Hawk, I would love to," you know, like, and just to give you an idea of Hawk, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Hawk or heard of his legends and stuff like that. Hawk was like 6'1", just built like a brick shithouse and covered in tabs, bald head.
Yes.
Scary looking motherfucker. But like, he was one of these guys, like, he had a heart of gold, and if you got on his good side, you were set. But, my God, like, you did not want to make this man angry. And like, he absolutely loves the business, and God rest his soul. This man was absolutely incredible. He was like another dad to me. Anyway, Hawk is riling me up, and he's like, "If you go over, you're going to have to burst the machine." And I'm like, okay, I'll probably die, but cool. So, Machine is... and was, and he, unfortunately, we lost Machine last year. Absolutely incredible wrestler. Guy was, he would have been like 6'1", 6'2", agile as all hell, and he took bits and pieces of like Mick Foley, Mankind, Abyss, and like used to like, the guy was a hardcore icon in New Zealand wrestling. Like, the guy was absolutely incredible. He was also like the first, one of the very first promoters of like the modern era of Kiwi pro wrestling and stuff like that. And so I was like, sick, let's go, let's line it up. And you know, got some fundraising together through my school, because they, you know, like, "Oh, our champion is heading overseas." And yeah, so I went over in June of 2006, and I wrestled Machine at IPW Breakdown. And there's actually a clip on YouTube somewhere. And Machine and I just beat the hell out of each other. And I actually got set on fire in that match. It was the first time I ever experienced...
God damn.
Yeah, the first time I ever experienced fire. So I'm just trying to find the photo right now. And obviously, I know that we're not doing video screening, but... just to give you guys an idea. Of course, I cannot find the photo right now. But, so I went over, and Machine and I just beat the hell out of each other and had a really awesome match. And I spent a week in New Zealand hanging out and chilling and vibing, and made everyone proud, and was actually invited back a few months later for their version of Supernova, which is called Armageddon. So got to go over there and take part in the Armageddon tournament, and it was amazing. First time ever wrestling outside my home fed. I was wrestling in another country, so it was pretty wild.
That's pretty cool.
Obviously, we glossed over that last time, and I was like, I need to hear more about this when we go around two. I don't recall you mentioning that you were still in high school. You might have, but that just blows my mind. When I was in year 12, I got made fun of for being a wrestling fan, and this guy's class is just raising money for him.
You know what it is?
It was pretty cool, man. Like, it was a lot of fun. Obviously, I can't find that photo right now, but that's okay. I'll show you guys later. But high school was really amazing because it was I was bullied so much through primary school for being the big kid, the tall kid, and just being different. And then when I got to high school, so I was 6'2" and a bit when I got to high school. So I was nearly 14 when I started high school, and I was 6'3" by that point. And then I was 6'5" when I was 15. So I was already wrestling. I started wrestling in 2004, so I was in grade 10 by that point when I started wrestling. And a really, really cool story though. This is really cool, and not many people know this. So we're going to fast forward to 2006. I'm there, just going about my usual day at school, and I'm walking down to parade, and I hear this voice, and I turn around, and they're like, "Hey man, turn around." I was like, "Oh, hey buddy," and he's like, "Hey man, look, I'm actually a wrestling fan." I was like, "Oh, cool, like, what are you into?" Thinking that they're only into WWE. And this person turns around to me and goes, "Oh, have you watched Samoa Joe versus Kenta Kobashi?" And I'm like, "You know about Ring of Honor?" Like, I just...
like peak,
what?
Peak Ring of Honor?
Yeah, I was like, damn. You know about indie wrestling and, like, Japanese wrestling? I was like, yes, I have. And I absolutely love that match. And we started chatting. And that person was like, "Hey, I really want to start getting into wrestling. Do you think you can help me?" And I said, "Yeah, no, like, come to training with us. Come down to MIW and we'll get you started." And can you guess who that person was?
I have no idea.
Mark Davis.
Oh, wow. Shout out to Mark Davis. That's a name drop and a half for Aussie wrestling.
So Davis and I went to school together and became friends because we were wrestling fans. And then he got started in MIW in 2006 and I was already wrestling there, and yeah, absolutely wild, man. Like, that's really cool that I can share that sort of story, and people, they're like, "Do you know it? Did you ever meet anyone else that came up with you?" And I was like, "Davis." They're like, "What?"
Yeah,
I was like, "Yeah,
that's cool."
Of course, he's probably never going to hear this, but we do wish him well in his recovery from his current injury too.
Absolutely.
Obviously, Carl Fletcher is killing it in singles though, to his credit as well. But I can't wait to see Aussie Open back together as a tag.
That'd be very cool. But yeah, no, that's kind of one of those really cool stories I can share about Aussie wrestling, and like two guys that came from the same high school and everything that we did. And apparently there's actually I haven't been to my old high school for many years now, but apparently there's a wall there of like past students, and there's like all the newspaper articles and like magazines and stuff like that of Davis and I and stuff that we've done over the years, which is really, really cool.
That's pretty cool.
Like other students who went on to do cool things. So yeah, no, it's pretty gnarly.
I think, like, not to cut in because I know Nova still has a bit more of a question, but the fact that you mentioned you were 6'5" when you first started wrestling, you literally had a growth spurt, like, while wrestling, essentially, then, for those that last couple of inches. Like, that is crazy in itself that, like, again, I don't know how deep the fandom goes within those promotions, but for me, like, obviously, like, I've been drawn to a handful of Aussie wrestlers that I've been following for, a decade plus now. To me, it's just crazy to think that there's some, like, just random fan in the crowd that has literally watched like you say like the metaphorical or like guess or whatever if the right word the growth of Kyote as a performer, but like there's someone out there that's watched the literal growth of Kyote as he's grown and gotten taller as a wrestler. That's cool.
I'm gonna make sure I get this right. I was 6'1", 6'2" when I was 13. I got to 6'5" when I was 15. I got to 6'8" when I was 18. And then I hit 6'10" when I was about 21, 22. So
like
and now I'm 5'6" because I lost a foot.
Which still pops me, by the way.
Every time. I love your little jokes.
I just love that shitty dad joke. But like the thing, but there's literally like wrestling fans that have watched the metaphorical and the literal growth of Coyote out there. Like that's pretty cool.
But no, it's been pretty amazing, like to literally grow up in the business too. Because obviously, I was 15 when I first walked through the doors of the WCW sweatshop, and I'm 36 now. So like, it's been only 21 years of being a part of this amazing industry, and then watching what Australian wrestling has gone through, and particularly obviously Queensland wrestling, because that's been my home, and to watch it go through the highest of highs to the lowest of lows and then back up and down, and to see where Queensland wrestling's at now, it's really exciting.
No, it's awesome to see, because I got to wrestle in Queensland up north, and unfortunately my experience wasn't the best, but seeing, even just following social media and stuff since then, and seeing like all of the promotions, especially now that they're all, well, not all of them, but there's a good chunk of them that are doing like the I think it was like the hashtag Queensland Strong or something like that.
Yeah.
And like they're all coexisting, and it's like, wow, this only took way longer than it should have, but it's so cool to see, man. Like
that's one of the issues that Queensland's always had, and like, I can speak my mind because I'm going to, and that's what I do now. Like I'm here to help it and take the blindfolds off people and go, hey, this is what's happening. Pull your shit together. Like, if we all get along and work together, it's going to be awesome. But like, unfortunately, and we sort of touched on this with the last episode, that there is going to be those sort of cliquey groups and everything else where people are going to have opinions on others rather than seeing the bigger picture. And I think finally, after so many years, that people are starting to work together and realize that we're all in the same business. We all want to achieve big things and make wrestling great. So everyone needs to check their egos at the door and do what's right for the fans, what's right for the business,
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Because otherwise the business dies. Like, literally, like, it'll go down to shit if people don't clean up their act and, Yeah.
And that's it. Without the fans, there's no, there is no wrestling. Like, sure, you can hire a venue and set a ring up, but you got no show if people aren't paying their hard-earned money to be there,
Exactly, yeah, for sure.
And how many times have we seen that happen in not just Australian wrestling, but wrestling in general? People just buy a ring, put a poster up on like one or two lampposts and go, all right, and then they get like 3 or 4 people, and they've got hundreds and thousands of expenses to cover, and there's
exactly.
one. How many companies have had one show, or some haven't even made one show because they've just haven't sold tickets or whatever, and they've just had to cancel the whole thing. Like, it's,
and that's the thing. People just think that you can start a business and just start running a promotion, and it's not that easy. Like, I used to run and own PWA Queensland with Australian Wolf, like, from 2007 to 2010, Queensland wrestling was the place to be. Like, we used to have the original Rise of the Warriors tournaments. We had guys like Chris Hero, Shadow Phoenix, Sarah Del Rey. Like, we had all these amazing indie talent come to our shows and stuff, and we were getting mass recognition and stuff. And like, then we had guys like Ash Wright and Mark Davis wrestle at PWG, and it's not easy running a promotion, and it is a lot of work.
Definitely. Like, obviously, we don't run a promotion, but even just being
exactly like you guys know exactly where I'm coming from.
Even just being part of management for promotions, you know, you're just like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Like, you're just like, why did I volunteer to help sometimes? But it's, you know, the payoff is always, you know, worth it in the end. But
yeah,
100%. You know, the bigger the mountain, the tougher the climb, the greater the reward, and that's one of the best things about wrestling is that you know, we don't owe wrestling anything. You know, it has given us so much, and you know, people. You know, again, we touched on this in the last episode that you know people are like, oh, don't you get upset about what's happening and what it does, and you're like, well, no, because if we didn't have it, it wouldn't be who we are and what we do, and you know, people will either understand it or they won't. And, you know, it's so hard to explain wrestling and the reason we love it so much to people who are not wrestling fans or who don't get it.
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Just flowing back into the New Zealand
Sorry.
question. No, that's fine. We're gonna jump everywhere. It's great.
Hey, I'm down. Don't worry. Go for it. I'm with you.
So, one of the other questions that I had for you was, what was it like flying in general as a real life giant?
I love flying, so it was really funny. My daughter the other day turned around to me and goes, "Oh, Daddy, have you ever been on a plane?" I'm like, "Yes, sweetie, I've done over 100 flights." And she's like, "What?"
Yeah, I think you mentioned that actually last week
yes,
when we glossed
yes.
Like, I've done so much flying, and like I've literally made it an art form of folding up into a airplane seat. So like, you know, I always sat in the window. I would drop my shoulder into the window, just fold up, and then you know I wouldn't move. So I always found it incredibly comfortable. That's just me. Like I was so used to flying, and like I also used my height to advantages at points. Like I actually flew business class from LA back to Brisbane one time because a woman in front of me reclined her chair and refused to recline it, and my legs were like folded up underneath her seat.
That's so rude.
And
I hate people do that.
Yeah, and like I didn't want to move because there was a little girl and her mum sitting next to me, and I was quite comfortable, and like this woman literally dropped her seat into my knee and actually cut my knee open. And the flight attendant and the captain came and had a look, and they're like, "Look, we'll find you another seat." I was like, "Yeah, no problem. Like, I don't want to inconvene these poor people. Like, they're asleep. I don't have an issue with her reclining. All I'm asking is that she literally reclines just a little, so it's not, you know, settled." And the woman's refusing, and they're like, "Oh, we found you a new seat, Mr. Giant." I'm like, "Oh, beautiful. Like come with us." And they take up business class, and I got to do the rest of the flight in business class. And they're like, "Oh, you can stay here all night, but in the morning you go sit back in your normal seat for landing." And I was like, "Hey, no problem." So I go back to economy after spend the night in business, and the husband of the woman who reclined on my knee looks at me and goes, "Oh, did they find you a spot?" I'm like, "Yeah, up in first class." And the woman just like,
thanks for that.
So,
see, I'm a firm believer in karma, and I think that's
flying. Like, I've done so much flying. Yeah, like I've legitimately lost count. But I remember the last count I did, I was up to like 107 flights in 10 years. So
holy shit, that is a lot. That's crazy.
So, good fun.
So my next question. You also mentioned the amount of championships that you've won over the years, and I know some people will say they're just props, and in some ways they are, but what was it like for the first time when you won a championship, and how did you find out it was happening?
So my very first ever championship was the MIW Tag Team Championship. I didn't even know until I got to the venue.
That's awesome.
See, to me, that's the best way to find out.
Yes.
I don't want this, we want to do this with you and do that with you. It's like, no, just surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I legitimately had no idea it was happening. So I get to the venue, and Hawk's like, it's you and Big John in a tag team match. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, no problem. You know, we've been tagging for a little while. And he's like, you're gonna wrestle Jethro and Sweethearts for the tag titles, and you're gonna take the strap. I'm like, I'm sorry, what?
That's the
and I had been wrestling as Coyote for 5-6 months at this point, so I was like, oh snap, like I'm already getting my first title sort of thing. And we won the tag titles, and then I went home that night, and because I lived with my grandparents. I grew up with my grandparents, which was incredible. And I remember laying the tag team title on the kitchen table. And I went to bed and they woke up the next morning and the title was on the kitchen table.
Yes, that's the best way for them to find out too. It's just like,
yeah,
here
like,
you
I
go,
didn't
guys.
tell, like, yeah, it's like, it was awesome, but it was also, it was bittersweet in the sense, like, no one was there to, like, family-wise to see me win it. And because we were wrestling weekly, we didn't really have the chance to hype up, like, every single week, or, you know, it was, if there was a big show coming up, we'd advertise that. So, yeah, so that's how I won my first one, was, literally by surprise. And we held it for about a month, and then I dropped it. We dropped it, and then I won them back, like, 3 weeks later with another tag partner who still wrestles today. So I won it with Scorn, the Viking Warrior Scorn over in so Scorny and I had the tag belts for close to a year, I think. Yeah, which was awesome. And then I won the hardcore title in 2006. So yeah, it was pretty gnarly.
That's pretty cool. Well, out of your championships, which one meant the most to you?
Oh goodness. Winning the Schwa tag team titles in Western Australia in 2011 was a big one, because I was in a really bad spot in 2010 into 2011, because that's when a lot of the stuff in Queensland wrestling was happening, and a lot of the negative, really toxic, messed up stuff was going on. And I literally packed my bags and moved. Like, it was the first time I ever left home. I moved to the other side of the country. Like, I didn't move to another suburb. I literally moved to the other side of the country. And that's where, you know, Schwa and EPW took me in, and I got to work with some incredible people in that time. So winning the Schwa tag team titles was pretty awesome. Being the first ever SWA Southern Cross champion, which I won in Newcastle in 2008. Oh man, there's been a few. Like, like any chance I had the opportunity to represent a company as their champion, I always felt was really special. I was always very, very hard on myself, in the sense of, like, I always had this mentality of I didn't deserve it, or I never felt like I was good enough, and I always felt like someone else deserved it. But when I was given the opportunity to represent somewhere as their champion, I ran with it. Like, when I was VPW champion, when I won the belt off Linksy, which, you know, technically was my last ever title, I won that title in February of 2018, and between February 2018 and July 2018, I wrestled all over the country defending that thing, and like in some big matches as well, against some incredible talent. And I think that's where I finally sort of realized, and it's kind of funny because obviously 2018 is when I got injured, but that was finally the year where I realized that I'm on the same level as others. And it comes sort of to the Daniels match, because I was chatting to Nick XL when I got told that I was wrestling Daniels. And I rang XL, who lives in LA. Like, Nick's my best friend, my brother from another mother. Like, he and I tagged together, we wrestled together, we traveled around wrestling. And I remember ringing XL, and it was nearly midnight in LA. And I rang him, I'm like, dude, I'm so sorry for waking you up, but I've just been given an hour's notice and I'm wrestling Christopher Daniels. And I'm freaking out. He's like, why are you freaking out? I'm like, dude, it's Daniels. Like, the guy who, you know, is AJ Styles' God killed like his kid's godfather, and I'm like, and he's like, and I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, he's just another guy. He's just another wrestler. And I was like, huh. Like, and by that point, I'd been wrestling for 16, 17 years, and the penny finally friggin' dropped. I was like, I get it. Like, they're just another wrestler. Like, it's the fallen angel, Christopher Daniels, Mr. ROH, Mr. TNA, Christopher Daniels. And I was like, but it finally made me realize at a level of where I was at. And then, like, because also in 2018, I'm wrestling guys like Gino, Bad Luck Fale, Caveman Ugg, Britt Riley, JXT, and, like, traveling all over the place, doing these massive matches with these, amazing talent. And it finally made me realize that I was on that level and I was able to, everything I had achieved prior to that showed that I was allowed to be there, sort of thing. Like, I was allowed at the dance, if you will.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, man.
It's funny you bring up Daniels because Nova Lee's going to gloss over that again in a moment.
Yeah,
but
sure.
just,
Yeah.
You mentioned all that flying. It's actually a really good segue to my next handful of questions. Is that obviously you mentioned that you've had 2 tryouts at WWE, and you said you even did a New Japan dojo. Could you just walk us through first the New Japan one? Like, how did that come to be, and who were you training with? And
so that came about because of Gino's relationship with New Japan and the Bullet Club and everything else, and him working with Fale. And they ran a tryout at Venom Pro Wrestling in 2018, and it was a full afternoon, and we literally got told, like, I don't want to go into great detail because it's sort of it's one of those sort of unspoken rules of wrestling. You don't go into details of what happens in these events. But, from what Gino shared publicly, I'll share it too. These tryouts with New Japan are designed to kill you. That is literally what they say at the very start of the seminar. They're like, we are going to see if you can survive. And if you can, awesome. If you can't, at least you know what you're capable of and what you need to do if you want to get to Japan. And I swear to the gods, it was one of the most intense, one of the most toughest afternoons I've ever experienced in all aspects of fitness and cardio. And, like, there were guys literally dropping on the ground because of fatigue, and, like, it was rough. So it was an amazing experience, but it was tough as shit. It's everything you can possibly imagine and worse. Like, I always grew up hearing stories of, like, in Japan, like, when people wake up in the dojo, they're doing 1,000 squats, 1,000 sit-ups, 1,000 push-ups. Then they do, like, an hour of stretching, an hour of rolls before they even touch the ring. And I was like, this is going to be death. Like, this is what, and I was in probably, at the time then, I was in the best shape I'd ever been. I was 165 kilos, 22% body fat, 67 kilo muscle mass. And, I felt my cardio was really, really good. And, I was wrecked by the end of it. But I managed to finish it, but there were a couple of times where I'm, like, dying and Gino's yelling at me, like, get up. I'm like, why? Like, just leave me.
that's one hell of a badge of honor, though, to say that you completed the camp.
It was really cool, man. Like, funny that you mentioned, like, badges of honor and stuff. Like, when I had my second WWE tryout, that was in Melbourne. And it was a 2-day tryout, and we're still contracted not to talk about what happened because that's the rules. But Mr. Bill DeMont at the time, who was still head trainer of NXT, ran it with Kenyon Seaman and a few others. And I had only been medically cleared 8 weeks prior to return to full-time training and wrestling because I had broken my ankle in 2013. So this was probably May, June 2014. And I ended up actually pulling out at the end of day one because my ankle just gave out. Like I pushed it to the point that I couldn't physically keep going. And Bill DeMont pulls me aside, and I've got the medical doctor there. He's like, he's done. Like, he's done. He's done for the day. And Bill DeMont looks at me and goes, "There was a wrestling show this weekend. Would you wrestle?" I'm like, "Absolutely. Fans have paid to see a show, and we're going to give them a show no matter what. You know, it's what we live for: the thrill to perform, the chance to create wonderful memories." And he turns around to me and says, "I may not be taking you back to Orlando today, but you've earned my respect." And I was like, "All right, I'll take that."
And from someone like,
that means
obviously, you know, some of it's a bit skewed for television, but if you've watched Tough Enough and some of the network shows, you do get to see Bill DeMott, you know, doing his thing, and he is a bit of a fucking hard ass, and you know, for him to admit openly that, hey, you earned his respect, that again, hell of a badge of honor.
Yeah.
I see the same.
Awesome.
Yeah, man,
it was pretty gnarly.
Oh yeah.
But obviously, you know, I know you can't go into too much detail. I spoke to Craven when I did the seminar with him about his one, and he was the same. That, you know, he couldn't go into detail, but he told me a couple of little funny Bill DeMott stories. And I was just like,
"Oh yeah,
hell yeah, man! Exactly as you'd expect him to be. You know, tough love. You know, for better or for worse. But how did both of those tryouts come to be? Just to because I know. Obviously, you know, you can't go into too much detail, but around the time you did both of your tryouts was still mostly unheard of for an Australian to get a tryout at that point in time. So just how did they come to be, and who did you learn the most from during the tryouts?
So my first tryout was in 2011, and at least I believe the reason I got that one was because I had wrestled for KPW, Kiwi Pro Wrestling, in Christchurch in 2010. And that company used to be run by a gentleman by the name of Rip Morgan, who is Bushwhacker Luke's, I always get it wrong, it's either Bushwhacker Luke or Butch's nephew. I'm pretty sure it's Luke. If anyone listens, I apologize if I get this wrong, but
we're related to one of the sheepherders / bushwhackers, so that's
and I believe WWE were doing a tour in 2011, and they obviously reached out to Rip and said, "Do you have some guys you want to put to us?" And there was 6 of us that went in. It was myself, Slade Mercer, who at the time was still Max Damage. So it was me, Slade, Jay Diamond, Shane Whitehead, Mr. Wrestling, and Huss, who used to wrestle around Sydney for a while. We all got invited, and the funny thing is, like, I got the first email, and the email's like, you know, "Hey, Mr. Giant, my name's such and such. I want to know if you'd be interested in coming for a tryout in Sydney on this date." And I showed Excel, and I was like, "Nah, this is fake. This isn't real," because there was spelling mistakes in it. There was like, and a couple weeks prior, I got an email from someone claiming that it was Vince McMahon. So I was like, "Nah, this isn't real. Like, this is weird." So Excel and I sent back like this really well written professional email. It's like, you know, "Thank you so much for reaching out. Obviously, this is an amazing opportunity, but as you can understand, the context is, you know, people make jokes. How do we know this is real?" And all I get back is, "Yes, this is real. Call this number." And I was like, "Oh shit!" So rang them, and at the time it was Ty Bailey, who used to be the head of talent relations in WWE. I spoke with him, and he's like, "Would you like to come to the trials?" I'm like, yes, I would. Like, so yeah, flew down to Sydney, and we got to the arena, and the head of production takes us to a room. We all get changed, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, the champ will be watching too." We're like, "I'm sorry, what?" They're like, yeah, Cena will be at ringside. Like,
oh, man.
No pressure, lads.
That's awesome.
And so yeah, and the session was taken by IRS, Mike Rotundo.
Yes, yeah.
And yeah, so that was my first tryout, and it was an incredible experience, a lot of fun, and then that was that one. So yeah, and then the big one in 2014 where they scouted everyone in Australian wrestling and other sports and stuff like that, and there was such a diverse group of athletes at that tryout. And that was the 2-day tryout where they ended up signing Jesse McKay and
Yes.
the Iconics.
Yes.
So yeah, it was awesome.
It's pretty cool though, like to be in the company of. I have a rough idea of people that were at the 2014 one, and some pretty big names even now still in Aussie wrestling. So that's kind of crazy.
Yeah,
that
man.
not only were Cass and Jess the ones that were signed, but the fact that you're I guess considered amongst those kind of things. That's got to kind of at least affirm. For all of the times where you've sat there and said I'm not good enough or I can't do this or I can't do that. Looking back in retrospect, that's a hell of a. I don't want to
opportunity kind of thing.
It was really crazy because to have 2 tryouts with the biggest company in the world was really surreal for me, and it was also after because I snapped my ankle in 2013 on my 25th birthday, so I broke it in WA on my 25th birthday, and then I had most of 2013 off, came back. Then I had the WE tryouts in 2014. And then, from that moment onwards, my career just kept going up and up and up and up. And I was doing all these really cool things. And then, obviously, we did the Bullet Click stuff in 2016. I had my return in 2018. And then, obviously, my injury. And, yeah, so it was really cool. My mindset started changing a lot. And especially after I broke my ankle in 2013, that's where I realized how important fitness and cardio and just generally changing my lifestyle was if I weren't wrestling to be an actual thing. So
did you have to change your wrestling style at all afterwards, post injury?
No. I changed it a little bit, just being a bit more sensible and that's where I really buckled down on storytelling and psychology, and they're some of the biggest things I've always loved. But it was really important for me to really push my character then, because I was doing a lot of work with Jared Slate, Dave Storm, the Warship, and we did the whole Shadows of Alistair gimmick in Western Australia, and that's where I really honed in on being a big evil giant and. Where mannerisms are so important and over-exaggerating things. So, it was really cool that was sort of the catalyst for me to change everything and work on my character. Because obviously, I moved to WA in 2011, so I spent the end of because I moved over there in September 2011, and then I was there through 2012. And then I moved back to Queensland and started 2013. So in that sort of 2-year window, that's where I really went back and sort of peeled back all the layers on my character and reestablished the most important stuff like psychology, storytelling, striking, mannerisms, and being a big guy and working that big guy style, because I had been so used to wrestling little people that I was wrestling like a little person. And I didn't need to, so that was really cool.
So
a lot of the guys
that was the case, because I know you mentioned that you're, and even just watching your matches, you can tell that you're very big on the psychology and the storytelling. So I'm glad I was right with that hunch. But the reason I threw that bonus question out there was because I think it actually ties into what Nova's next question is, and you actually just glossed over it before, but we'll touch back on it again which was the Daniels match. So Nova, if you want to.
Yeah. So you were mentioning, you've mentioned previously on the other podcast as well, and we just glossed over it. But your Christopher Daniels match, that you had with No Notice, what was it like working with him? Did you learn anything from him? we really enjoyed both watching the match because we actually, mentioned before, we watched the match straight after and we're like, yep, this is the match of the week.
Because like it's and I don't want to like shit on it like or anything like that, but the show unfortunately didn't draw very well.
No.
But you guys went out there and the people
still
that
just
did
gave it your
pay their
all,
money,
like, yeah.
you didn't do anything like fancy per se, but again, you told a great story, but you didn't phone it in. Like you went, hey, here's a wrestling match, and it was a great wrestling match with the story you told for the people in attendance. So, yeah.
And that's always been a big thing for me. Like, it doesn't matter if there's 3 people or 300,000 people. Like, those people have paid their money to see you perform. So, you know, why not still put in a massive performance and give it your all, regardless of how many people there? So, like, yeah, we wrestled in front of, I think it was like 37 people. Like, it wasn't a great turnout. And originally I was scheduled to face El Lindemann from Dragon Gate. So I had been planning for months to wrestle a Japanese opponent who, you know, from my understanding, didn't speak much English at all. And also, obviously, Japanese wrestling is very much body language and watching their movements and stuff. So I was getting ready for that. And then it got changed to me versus Daniels. And honestly, he was an absolute professional, so kind, so polite. And it was an absolute dream to work with him and talk with him. And like, we went through the match and everything was great. And like, I think he also loved the fact that I knew his moveset as well. Cause I remember talking to him about stuff and I said, look, if you'd like to hit the last right, I can do that. You know, I'm able to do that rolling bump. And I said, would you like to try and do the BME? And he's like, no, that's the finish. I was like, oh, okay, no worries. Like, I don't want to, you know, don't want to make your finish look crap or anything like that. Like, and he was so good and so giving as well. Cause he's like, what's your finish? I said, oh, usually I do either a sit out wheelbarrow face buster or a choke slam or an elbow drop. And he's like, oh, I'd love to take the choke slam. I'm like, cool. He's like, how do you want to set it up? I said, well, usually I catch people, do a Michinoku driver and get the crowd going. He's like, yep, sweet, give me the Michinoku. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, sweet.
That's awesome.
And like, I said to him, I'd love for you to try and at least hit the angel's wings on me if you could. Like, just for, I think it'd be fun to counter out of that and go for the choke slam. And yeah, no, he was so cool. And then like, to also get the win, like that was huge. That's probably still one of the biggest, if not the biggest win of my career. And I remember, you know, he hit the pin and he's like, thank you so much, sir. And I was like, holy shit, like this just happened. Like,
for the records, that's caught on camera, by the way. You can't obviously see his lips moving, but you can get the gist of what he's saying to you. Like,
yes.
as you're pinning him, and he's kind of he can tell that he's like saying stuff to you, and like just seeing that notice of you kind of going thank you to him, but having him kind of acknowledge it back, like that's
it was him that said it because like as the ref went 3, you go. I remember it going 2, 3, bell rings. He goes, "Thank you, sir." I was like, "Oh, thank you." Like, and then like obviously I've got to try and
but that's what I mean. Like that's on camera, man. And I was just like, I pointed it out to Nova, and I was just like, man, I have to rewind it.
That's a freaking awesome moment, man. That is so cool.
Yeah, no, it was so cool, and like I was incredibly grateful for it. And like I got a photo with him. I totally jumped at the opportunity to get a photo with him, and I said, "Look, is there anything you can recommend? Anything you want me to work on? Is there anything I can do? Anything I can change?" And he said, "No, everything you did was great. Like you took your time." And he said, I love your mannerisms and your pace." And I was like, "Well, thank you. Like that's something I really work on." And and he said, "I love the fact that you kept checking on me after each bump." So like, I would be like, "You're right, sir." He's like, "Yes." So like, it was really cool. It was an amazing experience. So, I've always said a massive thank you to TNT for that because TNT didn't have to give me that match, and he did, and that was really cool that happened.
You know, we really enjoyed it, and as I said, like you didn't phone it in, but like you kind of you changed it up like to fit the audience at the same time. Like, and obviously anyone that's seen Daniels knows that his character work is phenomenal, no pun intended, because he's AJ's best mate, but the way that he really, like, it was kind of like more of a face versus face thing. He didn't heal it up too much, but he did just enough as a tweener to kind of get you over, like, as the hometown boy, that was just like, and I'm glad you mentioned it, like the attempt at the Angel's wings and the pile driver, like, it's little stuff like that, but having you, like, look like this big monster where you just launch him with ease, but then like he hits the moonsault on you, like with absolute perfection, by the way. I swear to God, like, I know the expression is practice makes perfect, but the fact that, like, as he gets older, he hits that kind of high impact move better with age is insane to me.
No, it's so much fun. Like, I honestly had so much fun with that. And it sort of became like a little bit of a running joke because a couple of years prior, I had wrestled Colt Cabana and I beat Colt. So, like, my running joke is, like, I beat Christopher Daniels, who's best friends with AJ Styles, and I beat Colt Cabana, who was best friends with CM Punk. Therefore, and Punk and AJ wrestled each other, and I've beaten Punk and Punk and AJ, and it became a running joke for a little while.
Now, obviously, it wouldn't be caught in conversation if I didn't just completely change the subject and derail this whole thing. But Nova Lee, do you have any wrestling questions that you want to ask before I derail this?
What was it like wrestling Colt Cabana? Because I freaking love him too.
That's fair enough. All right. Tell us your Colt Cabana story, Coyote. I still owe him $5.
I'm sorry, Nova Lee.
Oh, you didn't enjoy it?
Oh, no.
No.
Oh,
No.
Shit, okay.
I really, I didn't not enjoy it. How do I explain it? I don't know if it was because of the situation of what happened at the venue with the promoter and the way the show was set up, and there were a lot of issues with that show. But it was also during Adam Pearce and Colt Cabana doing the 7 Levels of Hell storyline. So I got to work with Adam Pearce as well during that night, which Adam was incredible. Like, Adam actually helped me win the match, and I won the title because it was a title match between Colt and I for the Now Wrestling Championship. So Now only ran a couple of shows and then sort of defunct because they were in Canberra. The thing I found with Colt was that he wasn't there for, in my opinion, he wasn't there to wrestle and be there for the fans. He was there to make money. And I get that. I totally understand that. But he and I literally talked the match over once, and that was it.
That sucks.
Like, I still had fun, and it was, you know, I wish I had more footage of that match. But yeah, I don't know. It didn't gel well.
Yeah, because you need to go over it like a couple of times and, like, you know.
Yeah, and it was like he only wanted to do it just the once, and like,
Yeah, no, that sucks. Because, like, the experience, like, just showing, like, it's like different colors, really, when you look at it. When you look at, like, how awesome it was with Christopher Daniels, and it's like he's going over all the stuff with you, and the psychology and everything was cool. And that's what I was like. I was hoping Colts was going to be like that, but that sucks.
He wasn't like. Don't get me wrong. Like, Colt wasn't rude to me or anything like that. It was just. It was weird, but like Adam was incredible because like we actually did a training seminar that afternoon, but because we didn't have a ring, it would literally turn into like a Q&A, sit down, pick our brains, and like. Talking to Adam Pearce and learning from his learning tree, and like that was incredible. And like I've got this absolutely awesome photo of Adam Pearce and I, you know, from the end of the match, and like nothing bad happened with Colt and I. Like, we didn't stiff each other, and like there was no awkwardness or anything like that. He did break a chair that he sat on in the crowd, which was hilarious. Like, he's rushed out to the crowd and sat on a seat and then the chair broke. Like, you know. So like that's the photo of camera. That's Adam Pierce and myself.
I'll try and move this so Nova
Yeah.
Lee can.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Cool. That's awesome.
That's a boss-ass photo. Obviously, this is audio only for the listeners, but
Yeah.
that's so cool. It's exactly how you picture it. It's just a young Giant Kyote and Adam Pierce, but it's freaking badass.
Yeah. So like it was really cool, and like he was the second international that I had worked in a match with, and it was really interesting because you hear so many different stories, and like you work with different people. Like I've been so lucky to work with so many international talents and learn from them, and it's always everyone's different sort of thing. So like my match with Colt was fun, but I don't know. I've had a few people ask me about it in the past, and I'm just like, it's not that it's a bad memory or anything like that. It was just I don't know.
It was just
a match that happened.
It was a meh.
Yeah.
A meh memory.
But it's still a cool one. Like, I beat Colt Cabana. Like, that's pretty gnarly again.
Like, put it on the resume for sure.
Yeah, that's still pretty cool, but yeah.
But it's funny that you mentioned Colt breaking the chair though, because in the Canberra, I didn't get to. So I met Colt in Sydney at House of Hardcore in 2017. But the Canberra show that he did, the venue they're at, that's where ICW runs their shows in the theater. But obviously the NWA tours were set up in the gym area. Colt and B-Boy decided to play musical chairs. Broke a bunch of chairs, and that's wrestling has been completely banned from that gymnasium, no matter which company it is, because of Colt and B-Boy breaking all of the chairs.
Oh, is that the one where they did musical chairs and they were like jumping on the chairs?
Yes, I wasn't there, but Colt and B-Boy played musical chairs and they were jumping on the chairs. And wrestling is no longer allowed in the gymnasium at the Belconnen Community Theatre. So we use the actual theatre area, which is fine. But it's just a little funny tidbit that I'm like, man, the fact that it was so local to me and I missed it, and this is why my local promotion can't use that specific room is pretty funny.
Oh man!
But I'm going to derail this now, Coyote, as I always do. Now, obviously, we mentioned on the last episode that I often, well, not often because I don't get the jump on every time, but anytime I'm on one of your Twitch streams, I just talk about random shit and just go off because, again, ADHD, you'll say something that just spurs. That reminds me of a time in 1992. But we mentioned like the Pokemon cards and everything in the last one. Have you had any cool pulls in the last week since we've talked to you? Because you mentioned just before we recorded that you got something pretty cool, but
yeah. So funnily enough, my kids and I opened a Scarlet and Violet booster box the other day, and where are they?
We're just like fully renovating Coyote's room over here.
So Lily actually pulled.
Oh God, it's taken me an hour, but I'm finally dying on stream.
So we opened Scarlet and Violet, and Lily pulled a golden Meridian.
Hell yeah. That's
so
cool.
She pulled that, and then she also pulled the full art Miriam.
Oh, nice. I don't know if you can see.
I can see vaguely, yeah.
That's cool.
They're the two top hits, Scarlet and Violet. So she hit both those.
She's the good luck charm.
And then what else did we hit? We opened a Silver Tempest box, and Ryan pulled the Lugia V-Star.
Hell yeah, Lugia is one of my favorites.
Yo.
That was pretty cool.
Yes.
But I actually had a couple of prizes arrive from some of the races that I did today. They actually arrived today, so I've got a that came with it.
I'm just making
was
Coyote's life difficult now.
was a 2019 PSA 10 old made Japanese Pikachu card.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
Now,
cool. Yeah,
again,
have
you
to show
guys
me
can't
this
see
one.
it, but Nova, it's like real,
Oh,
like
cool.
traditional style Japanese
Yes.
Pikachu. Like
That
that
is
is
awesome.
That is cool. That is
Yeah,
really
that's a
cool.
PSA 10.
Hell yeah.
That is so cool.
That's super cool.
But the other cool thing that I won, and I do not plan to open this at all, is a sealed box of Fusion Strike.
Hell yeah.
Ooh.
And they go for like $500 at the moment on eBay. So I'm locking that away, and it's going to get...
Just
There we go.
let the price go up a little bit more. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, that's freaking cool.
That is so cool.
Yeah, a few bits and pieces.
But yeah, the reason I bring this up, Coyote, is just because, as I said, it wouldn't be caught in conversation if I didn't just nerd out at some point. Yep. But were you actually a fan of the Pokemon game / anime, or are you just a trading card player?
Yeah, no, I grew up with it in the 90s and absolutely loved Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, and the original Indigo series and stuff like that.
So, what would your favorite Pokemon game be?
Pokemon game?
Yes.
Snap's up there on the N64.
Oh, dude, so underrated.
Yes.
Overrated? Really?
No, underrated.
Underrated.
Underrated. Yeah, right. The Pokemon Blue's probably like I've got so many memories of playing that on the old Game Boy Color.
That was my first ever Pokemon game as a kid.
Yeah, same.
And I've still got it somewhere. Like,
who was your starter?
Oh, so I think my very first starter, my very first playthrough, I think was Squirtle.
Nice.
My favorite starter was always Charmander, but at one point, everyone there's a lot of love-hate going on with Bulbasaur. From a strategic standpoint with the OG games, he has an advantage over the first two gyms. So you can't shit on Bulbasaur. But Charmander was always my favorite because Charmeleon specifically, like I know everyone loves Charizard, but Charmeleon's actually one of my favorite Pokemon like ever.
Hell yeah.
I was just basic, and my starter was always Pikachu.
To this day, I shit you not, to this day, I still have not beat the Elite Four on my copy of Pokemon Yellow. But I've done it like 100 times on Pokemon Blue.
Awesome.
But so, what's your actual favorite Pokemon code? Because I know you went through some of your cards last week, and you pointed out some of your favorite ones. But
I've always been a Charizard guy, man. I love Charizard, Arcanine. Typically any of the dog Pokemon, man. That's just me. Like any of I've been getting a lot of love for Lucario lately. So, but for example, Entei. Entei is another one of my favorites. I run a fire deck at Pokemon Club, so I've got 5 Enteis in my deck. Good fun.
So I never actually played I collected the cards, but never actually played them. Like I never knew how to actually play the game as a kid. But
I've only finally just learned how to play properly, because Rye. So Em actually found Centurion, who is one of my amazing sponsors, and she found that they did a kids club for Pokemon, and Rye had literally binged every single series, episode, cartoon, book of Pokemon. And I said to him, look, here are some of my old cards, and I gave them to him, and he just fell in love with the idea of collecting the cards and stuff. And then we went to Centurion, and it just totally reopened my obsession and love for it, and now sharing it with the kids. So I do Pokemon Club every Tuesday and Wednesday with the kids, and then I do all the events with Centurion as well. So it's been so cool to get back into Pokemon collecting, and I'm currently trying to do a master set of Obsidian Flames at the moment. And behind me, I've literally got a card rack, which has got 30 packs sitting there waiting to be opened.
Hell yeah!
Yeah,
that's
goals
right
man.
Good fun.
But I love that you say, because obviously I've got the Suicune on my arm because it's my all-time favorite. But my all-time favorite type was always just fire. I don't know what it is, but I find like I'm always just coming back to different fire Pokemon regardless of generation. So somebody give me fire. That's probably why, because I'm just
Dude. Segue again. So last year at Fearophobia, as you know, I did Fearophobia last year, working at the Screen Park here on the Gold Coast.
Yes.
And one night, one of the fire twirlers and eaters and breathers had a stick of fire, and I walked around and was like, "Can I play with that?" And they're like, "Sure." Handed it to me. I literally ran around the park going, "Somebody gave me fire."
Yes. Big pop. Big pop.
I am, dude. I wouldn't say pyromaniac, but I was terrible for playing with lighters and shit when I was a kid. Again, ADHD. I just like clicking buttons, but my auntie was always just like, "Fucking playing with fire." I'm like, yeah. Surprisingly, never burnt any houses down. But before we move along from the Pokemon talk, I just wanted to bring that up.
Sure.
What's your favorite generation of Pokemon, Coyote? Because I know
Gen
a lot
1,
of
man.
Okay, fair enough. I was gonna say a lot of people
Yeah.
love Gen 1, but for me, and I think it's just because Suicune, but Gen 2 was always my favorite in terms of like, the games and stuff.
It's funny, like, now that there's over 1,000 Pokemon, man, I'm like, I stopped when there was like 350. Like, I played Gold and Silver, you know, I loved Johto and all that sort of stuff. But, I don't know, you just, something special about Gen 1, man. The first 151, yes, 151, new count.
Yes, indeed. It does count. There's those hashtag hoons. Oh yeah, Gen 1. No, that's fine. I'll accept Gen 1. But Novalee, if you'd like to.
Oh, yes. Alrighty. So, the last official question for this episode, but as mentioned, and we know, what the heck? We know you go into it.
You can't go into it.
You can't go into it, sorry.
Fire the editor!
We know you can't go into it. But will you be appearing in the Mortal Kombat sequel? Is acting something that you're actively wanting to pursue? Or, and then if so, what kind of genre do you prefer?
All
Sorry,
right,
I should have
so
that. My bad.
That's okay. That's okay. You should get a check, but yeah.
So all I can say when it comes to MK is yes, I will be in it. I did some work. I did 2 days work for 2 different scenes. Yes.
So obviously we glossed over that last week, but yeah, I made a typo.
Yeah, so
question, my bad.
it was absolutely incredible to be a part of it. They actually reached out to me because of working on Young Rock. So
Yes.
I'm literally in Young Rock for a blink and you miss it moment. So you know the scene where Sergeant Slaughter is cooking up Jake the Snake on the barbecue?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm in the background of that scene with Bobby Bishop and JL Gold and Spaceman.
Yes. Actually,
So-
Yeah, I think you pointed that out, didn't you? When we watched it.
yes. I was just like, that's Bobby, and then I was like, oh, and I think that's Coyote. So I can confirm
Yeah,
it was
it's
Coyote.
like-
Yes!
a flash and you miss it. So yeah, they actually got my details for Mortal Kombat from the Young Rock team, and they reached out to me, and it's really funny. Like, this part I can share. They reached out to me and they're like, "We want you to audition for this character," and I was like, "Yeah, cool, love to, happy to do it." They're like, "There's only one other person going for the role at the moment. Could you look like this in 4 weeks?" And it was a picture of a guy completely shredded. Like, I'm talking like you could grate cheese off their abs. And I'm like, yeah, nah. So they're like, that's a shame. I was like, look, not even all. It's like, if I ever even touched the gas, it would not be enough to get to what you guys want in 4 weeks. So I missed out on that. But they really wanted me to do some stuff. So yeah, I'm as far as I'm aware, as long as the scene doesn't get cut, yes, I will be in Mortal Kombat 2.
Yes.
But yeah,
So,
is
very
it something
excited.
you're actively looking to do though? More acting?
Yeah,
And-
more acting stuff.
No, if the opportunity arises, sure, I would love to. I had a lot of fun doing it. But no, it's not something I'm actively looking for. I think that's what also makes it really special when I get those opportunities. Like what was really cool was I actually with Young Rock, I originally got asked to play Bam Bam, and
see, I can see that.
Oh yeah, I
100%.
can see that.
Yes.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
originally auditioned for that. That didn't go well, and then they had me go for Big John Stud, which missed out on that. But then they're like, "Oh, we've got one more role we want you to audition for." I was like, "Hell yeah, I'll do it. Love to." And it was for Undertaker,
Oh wow.
and I actually made the shortlist for Undertaker, which was so cool. So it came down to me and two other guys. And unfortunately, I didn't get the spot, but still, it's pretty gnarly to have the email going, "You have been shortlisted now for the role of The Undertaker." And I'm like, this is sick. Like,
Oof.
Just picturing Coyote
like,
just walking around the house. Rest in peace.
Rolling the eyes. Oh.
Hell yeah,
Like-
man.
Yes.
I put so much stake in the cave, but like, I literally framed my my payslips from Mortal Kombat. So like, it's like really cool that I get to keep and share. So
That's
Yeah,
so
no.
cool.
a lot of fun.
So we just had like another little fun fact, kind of like we always do fun fact like question for the end of the episode. Do you
Yeah.
have a giant? Do you have a giant? It says, "Does Giant Kyote have a guilty pleasure movie?"
Yeah, see, that time it wasn't the editor. That was just.
That was on me. That was
Ooh.
the ring announcer slip up.
Favorite guilty pleasure movie. Oh, I love my movies. I absolutely love movies. Guilty pleasure movie though.
See, maybe there's a movie that he really likes, but he's not guilty about it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a sucker for a good chick flick, and then like they're meant to be guilty pleasures. I'm like, I ain't guilty.
Yeah,
I'm getting lots of pleasure.
I don't mind my chick flicks. I don't know. One movie that jumps to mind straight away is Escape from LA.
Okay.
Kurt Russell.
Ooh, phenomenal actor.
I love my musicals. I absolutely love musicals. So like Rent
Yes.
and Phantom of the Opera. They're my two favorite musicals.
Have you seen
yeah,
Repo?
Rent. Yes, I have.
Yes.
I've seen Repo.
So good. I still need to
Um,
show Nova Lee that.
Yes.
It's been sitting on the shelf for years.
So like, what would be my guilty pleasure movie? I'm trying to think what's one I just put on in the background and just go about my day.
I think we've finally stumped someone for the first time in all these
Yes!
podcasts.
See, like, it's not a guilty pleasure because I love the movie. I can easily throw on Batman Returns and just let it play in the background like that.
Yes.
Not a guilty pleasure movie, like, because my two all-time favorite movies are The Crow and Terminator 2. Like, they are tied
yes.
to. So it's usually like it goes Crow, Terminator 2, Batman Returns, Rocky 4, The Untouchables. Like, but it always changes like my top 10. So like, yeah. But my top three are always like Terminator 2, The Crow, and Batman Returns.
And I've got a bonus question now. Your favorite
Shoot.
Batman. Who is your favorite Batman?
Michael Keaton.
Yes!
Yes! Yes!
Without a doubt. Cheating
Love
is gone.
zero
Yes.
hesitation.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Have you watched the most recent Flash movie?
Yes, I loved
Yes.
it. I really, really enjoyed
This
it.
was pretty
I
good.
really enjoyed it.
We,
So, like,
we
if I had to rank my Batmans, it would be I always go Keaton, Kilmer. Oh god, I'm going blank. That's terrible. That's not good. Hang on, why am I going blank? Oh dear. But George Clooney's last, but I'll do it from last phase. I'll go Keating, Affleck, Keating, Affleck. Wait, no, I'm doing it wrong. Oh god. Oh no. Yeah. Sting first, Kilmer second, Bale third.
Yep.
I then put Adam West in there. Then I would put Bale, then Affleck, then Clooney.
I will say,
but
though,
obviously
like,
Kevin Conroy can voice Batman. Like, no one else can be Batman's voice other than Kevin Conroy.
oh, yes, I'm still yet to watch the one that they just released with, like, his last performance, but apparently it's very freaking emotional, which is why I'm putting off watching it. But, like, as much as people shit on Clooney, like, and obviously the movie's been out that long now that we all know who was in it. I won't say in what aspect for those that haven't seen it, but that little George Clooney cameo that is in there did pop me.
I popped hard.
Yes.
I lost my mind. Like, this is the thing. Clooney was a bad Batman, but he was a brilliant Bruce Wayne.
I literally said the exact same thing to Nova when we watched it, because they've taken off downloads on laptops now. It's mobiles only, so screw people that have vision impairment, I guess. But we had it downloaded for offline on Netflix on my laptop, and on one of the many medical trips, we watched it on the train. And I literally, when Clooney popped up on the screen, I like spat my drink out, and the people sitting next to us on the train were just like laughing because they didn't understand. And I was just like, this is happening. It's a thing. And Nova's just like, oh, God.
Kilmer was meant to be in Flash as well. But because of his health issues and stuff, he declined appearing.
Oh, man.
The Adam West little Flash got me as well, man. Yeah. That got me a little bit emotional, but
no, I think the Flash was great in giving back to the fans. Like, obviously, with Nicolas Cage's Superman being in there as well, and
again popped me.
I mean, what if? And it's kind of, I actually have a bit of a link to the Flash/Arrow universe. So, fun little story. Supernova in Sydney in 2018, when Stephen Amell came out, he had a private VIP party. I don't know what you want to call it. And my girlfriend at the time, she and I went to it. And she bought us tickets. I ended up on stage with Stephen Amell.
Hell yeah!
Oh, that is so cool.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So that was pretty cool.
That pops me because I'm not the biggest fan of the Arrow series. Like, I've enjoyed what I've watched of it, but for some reason I just kind of fell off it a little bit. But like, I'm a big fan of Stephen Amell in general, and when he's had 3 or 4 wrestling matches now, which is crazy. But when he announced Heels and how passionate he was about it, I loved every second of Stephen Amell in Heels, man. That was
and that was a really cool thing. Like, he pointed me out of the crowd because he's like, they're pointing to people asking questions. He points at me. He's like, the giant human in the back.
Yes.
And they hand me the microphone, and I'm like, hey, Stephen, my name's Giant Kyote. I'm Australia's tallest professional wrestler. And the whole crowd just went, whoa. and I was like, Stephen, not many people here will probably know, but if they do, you're currently the only undefeated professional wrestler in the world right now. And he's like, I am. And I was like, so, Stephen, are you all in? And he just paused and looked at me. He's like, do you want me to answer that? I was like, can I come up stage? And he's like, yes. So I literally walk through the crowd and I climb up on the stage. And his wife is literally there yelling at me, going, no wrestling, no wrestling, no wrestling. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And I was like, I'm going to milk this because, and I've pulled myself up onto the stage and then I stand up, but I've done it like really slow, and then I've like cowered over Steven. We just had this back and forth banter about talking about wrestling and AEW, and it was really, really cool.
Which is funny because who did Stephen Amell end up wrestling it all in, kids? It was Christopher Daniels.
So you beat him technically, or?
Yeah, because I think Daniels actually did end up going over, didn't he? I can't remember from memory. I think you went over Amell. I remember he went for the table and he kicked out of the BME, and I was just like, "What the shit?"
It all loops back to Coyote. He's just beat all these motherfuckers.
Giant Kyote beat Jack Spade.
Yes.
I'm still waiting for that Jack Spade versus Jackson Spade matchup. Wow, man, that's a deep cut. That's mad. Talking wrestling with Stephen Amell. That's
so
cool.
cool.
That's cool.
I just keep getting more and more jealous of you, mate. Like you're just killing it. It's cool.
But as always, Coyote, we've waffled on. But where can we find you on social media and Twitch? And I know that it is in the link tree, but I still link the Twitch separately.
No problem, man. I am all over the socials. I'm on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. Oh, sorry, X. I stream every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday on Twitch, the Purple platform. The Giant Kyote. That is KYOTE. And yeah, I'm also on the TikToks, hanging out, chilling and vibing. So I'm all over the place.
And we didn't have any events to promote last week. Has anything changed in the last week? Any upcoming appearances or?
No, nothing at the moment. Sort of just taking it easy at the moment, so it's good.
It's just vibing.
So I've got some stuff lined up, so we'll see what happens. So yeah, keep an eye out.
Awesome. I can't believe. I think Nova Lee, you've for the first time ever, you've stumped someone on the fun fact question.
Yeah, no, that's a good one about guilty pleasures. Like I love movies. I'll watch anything and everything. So yeah.
I would just get like a random message from Coyote in like 2 weeks and be like, "Oh my god, this movie!"
Yes.
But we appreciate you jumping on our giant compadre and just shooting the
Thank
shit
you, my
and
friend.
nerding out.
Yeah.
Man,
Anytime.
Anything else you want to throw out there, Nova Lee, before we wrap this up?
We've just been cheering you on, watching all your progress too about like the Paralympics and hoping to get there. We keep talking about it. We're like, oh,
yeah, we're
I
actually
hope
discussing
it gets
that
to.
on the train. I was like going through and something came up about like the actual Olympics.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit. I was like, when did Coyote say that he was doing the powerlifting and da-da-da-da? And I was like, man, I can't believe that dude could literally bend. Well, I actually weighed myself yesterday and I'm 108.5 now. So Giant Kyote could definitely deadlift me, which is a scary thought. But any more updates on the powerlifting before we wrap this up?
Not at the moment, man. Still training hard. I just finished an 8-week program in strength and cardio and big improvements. So I'm feeling awesome.
That's awesome. That's good to hear.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Man, this is crazy. Like, this dude has one leg and he's probably 10 times as fit as I'll ever be. Like,
absolutely bloody inspirational.
No, you really are. And as I said in the last episode, like as we, wind down and wrap this up, but, I myself, went back to the eye doctor and unfortunately didn't get the news that I wanted. My eyeballs are on the verge of exploding, both of them. But for the first time ever, the pressure number is the exact same. And so I'm chalking that up to a win at least. It's just a lot higher than they would like. But yeah, I've got a 6-week, stint of emergency. It's technically glaucoma meds, even though I don't have glaucoma, but it's the same kind of, pressure and yada, yada, yada. Yeah. But yeah, I'm just on a 6-week, trial, I guess, of these new meds, and they're rocking me and making me feel. I feel like I literally had the munchies from how they had me feeling. Like, did you see how fucking dilated my pupils were? Like, it was just, yeah. But man, I got a little bit upset. I'm not gonna lie. I walked out of there and I was just like, fucking fuck this and fuck that. And unfortunately, because I don't have private health, or even though although I'm under a surgeon, obviously I just see his understudies. Unfortunately, the lady that we saw wasn't the nicest lady that we've seen. We'll just put it that way. And she was just very kind of in your face and blunt about it all, which, I know you've got to be blunt to a point in that line of work, but she was just very boom, boom, boom. And then it was like a punch in the face, and I got really fucking upset. And then, as I was coming back, I literally, said to Teak, Nova, whatever you want to call her, I was just like, man, if Kyote can do it, I can do it. Like, it's an actual conversation that we had in our household, and what was the slogan that you said? Do hugs, not drugs, or don't do drugs, do hugs.
Be cool, stay in school, don't do drugs, do hugs.
Okay, well there you go, and that's basically what I was kind of just like, it's all good. Like, I was just trying to, stay positive, like Kyote would. That was basically the whole point of that rant that I was trying to make.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate you, man, and I appreciate you, reaching out, and as Nova said, we're cheering you on with the Paralympics and stuff, and it's just just appreciate you jumping on and spreading the joy and the positivity and being I guess an asset for lack of a better terms for Australian professional wrestling, and I guess even just in general.
Really means a lot, man. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
So social media can be a thing, and people like yourself who, obviously we won't rant too long because I'm trying to wrap this up so you're not, sitting there all night with us. But, you talk about how, the amount of work that you put into, the Twitch and all the stuff. But, like, you go through, like, for example, TikTok. I know Nova Lee, she finds a lot of inspirational videos and cleaning and stuff and just life hacks and all the fun stuff, which is cool. But
I love that.
Some of the influences that are on there, some of the negativity or, toxic masculinity and everything in between, that's on there. You got people like you that are doing it on socials, and it's just cool to see. That was the point.
Spreading all the positive vibes.
But just spreading the positive vibes.
We don't do negativity here.
But no, we just appreciate you jumping on, man, and as we said, just spreading the positivity, spreading the happiness.
Yeah.
But I think we'll wrap this up. Otherwise, I'm just going to rant for another.
No, you're right.
But I'm sure we'll come back on at some point and just nerd out about God knows what.
Sounds good.
But no, I appreciate you jumping on, Kyote, and
anytime, my friend.
Taking
Thank
the
you
time
so much.
to make part of your, what day is it? Monday evening, even though this is going out next Sunday. But yeah, appreciate you, my brother.
Anytime, guys.
Appreciate it. Bye, man.
Have fun.
Thanks, mate.
Bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Giant Kyote. How fun was that?
So good.
What did you say? Spreading
the power of positivity and good vibes. The Giant Kyote.
And as he said, be cool, stay in school, do hugs, not drugs. I think I just butchered it, but oh well. That's the name of the episode. It's Do Hugs, Not Drugs, for that reason. But I don't want to rant too much in the outro because I ranted too much in the intro. And I ranted too much in the episode. It's ranting, reviewing, and marking out is the tagline for a reason. But yeah, my health is up to the shit right now. But we're plugging along. We're crossing our fingers. We're hoping. We're praying. But people like Kyote are the reason that I managed to stay positive, and Nova Lee as well with her respective health issues, and just being a support person for me, and me vice versa for her. And I'm just over 800 days post-op as I record this. It'll be obviously a bit further on by the time this drops in 6 days as we record this. But yeah, just health's crazy. You yourself, Nova Lee, have going through the ranks of trying to get your own surgeries and stuff sorted out. But people like Kyote they keep a smile on our face. They keep us having a positive outlook, and we just appreciate him very, very, very much. Yeah. And I really hope that he can somehow make the trip, down to Canberra at some point, perhaps for an Extreme Capital Wrestling show or even an ICW show. I mean, he mentioned in last week's episode that he wants to start traveling, and we did touch on that he said he wants to start doing seminars and stuff, and I would love,
helping the next gen,
very much love one, for our young guys specifically to learn from someone like him, because it'd be
the phenomenal
benefit.
Psychology.
But even just me, I might not get cleared. I don't know. It's all up in the air because it's just health's going to shit again. But to be able to just pick the brain of him, properly in a wrestling setting would be an absolute honor to do that. But yeah, man, like, just thank you to Coyote for coming on. And as I said in the intro, I'm literally messaging him right now. He's just such a super friendly guy. Like, literally what you guys see of him on stream and on Pierce's show and what you're going to hear here on our show, you know, in this episode and last week's episode, if you haven't listened to that, definitely go back and listen to it. But he's just, and he even said in last week's episode, you know, it's not 100% of the time he's positive. He has his days where, you know, he wants to break down, but 99.9, you know, percent of the time, this is just who he is. You know, he's just a dude going through life, doing his thing, you know, being a dad, being a partner, you know, just being a straight up cool dude and doing cool shit. And, you know, as we've, you know, learnt throughout these 2 episodes, he's got stories for days. So definitely we'll have him on for round 3 at some point. But Novalee, if you wanted to, again, recap the song and match of the week, and again, just gloss over why we've picked those, and I can go into all the links and plugs, and we can get out of here so we're not ranting for too long, because, you know, again, that's my fault. But, yeah, I want to wrap this thing up.
So, your song of the week for episode 119 was Angel of the Morning by Juice Newton, and your match of the week was Christopher Daniels versus Stephen Amell at All In September 1st, 2018. And the reason, again, why we picked the song of the week is it's my dad's birthday. He's passed away back in 2017. So, no, 2007, not 17, sorry. 2007, because I was reading the thing in 2018. So back in 2007. So it's been I think 17 years this year that he's been gone. So I wanted to do like just a little memorial thing for him. He's 59. He would have been 59 today, so it's still a pretty big one. Next year's probably going to be the heavy one. But yeah, wanted a little
start planning something for that.
Yeah, just wanted a little bit of a memorial thing just for Dad today, because it is a bit of a hard day, a bit of a happy day. It's kind of bittersweet kind of day, if anything. And then another reason why we picked the match of the week, I'm just going back again, is because we mentioned Christopher Daniels quite a lot in this episode. And just towards the tail end of this episode, you'll hear it just before this, we mentioned about Stephen Amell. Coyote brought up a cool little tidbit story that he had an interaction with Stephen Amell. So we went, okay, this is going to be our match of the week. Yeah. It's nice and easy.
I love these conversations where either the song or
it's
the match.
Organic.
And I didn't get to bring it up in the conversation, but if you all follow me on socials, how creepy was it when was yesterday as I record this, but it'll be next week, you know, when this goes out. So last week now, we're in a time travel, imagining that this is Sunday the 4th of August. on Sunday the 28th of July, when I was promoting episode 118, literally as I got the notification on my phone, because so obviously I say 12 p.m, but they actually drop at 11:30 because it takes 10 to 15 minutes sometimes for the episodes to render on like Spotify and Podbean and stuff. So I set alarms for 11:50 to start copying the links and stuff. And then that way by 12 o'clock, when the alarm goes off again, I can, you know, just post it on socials and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
But literally right as the reminder for Promote Podcast came up, Dreams by Van Halen started playing.
Yes,
which was
it was so crazy.
Last week's, you know,
So
song
crazy.
of the week, which, again, it was a song that Coyote mentioned in passing, so we were like, that's the song. And then the match as well, obviously Christopher Daniels versus Coyote, last week's match of the week, they just fell. But that was the point of that, was just I love when it falls in. But how creepy that song, and my music was completely on shuffle, by the way. I was just listening to random like jams like on my list, and it just came on. And I screenshotted it and I tagged yourself in it and I tagged Coyote, and it Coyote popped as well.
Yes.
But man, like I love when stuff like that happens. And obviously, I forgot to mention it in the intro, but in the outro, obviously the song very topical currently, because the big hit right now is Deadpool and Wolverine, which I cannot wait to see. I'm doing everything I can to dodge freaking spoilers, man. I have not tried to dodge spoilers this hard since Spider-Man No Way Home, and I'm struggling. I'm fucking struggling. But man, like, yeah, it's very topical, very bittersweet, but it's kind of funny how it all still wraps into
because I was
current
going to
things
say it
as
was
well.
either going to be Queen of Hearts by Juice Newton or we were going to go Angel of the Morning, but I've been singing that all day. It's just been just stuck in my head. And then at the same time, we watched Deadpool 1 not long ago because we want to watch Deadpool 2 soon.
Rewatch the second one at some point. And
hopefully get there.
Hopefully in the next... Hopefully when we get paid, like, next, fortnight, we can organise a day with your mum to take us in and yada, yada, yada. But yeah, with that being said, this episode drops on Sunday, August the 4th. So if you're listening to this at the exact time it drops, which hopefully you are, because Coyote's a mad dude. But August 17th, Insane Championship Wrestling, Mass Wrestlers League. They're combining, they're smashing together. I do that every single week. I don't know why, but they're smashing together for Saturday Night Smash. The link will be in the description below to get your tickets for that one. October 26th, obviously 2 weeks ago, we had Benny the Back Rower on. He announced that he'd be cleared. He announced that he'd be wrestling at the Cara show. And just yesterday, as we record this, that was the very first match announced. Benny the Back Rower versus Arima. I've been sitting on that one for maybe a week or two since I've completed the graphics. I'm just sitting there waiting for him. And man, Arima, phenomenal talent. Obviously, Benny, I'm very biased against or toward, I should say. And just I'm very looking forward to that and can't wait to see him back in action. And even just today, Atticus Lane versus Birdman was announced. Birdman, always a very controversial, outspoken figure, but as ICW Central West have said every time they've hyped him up, arguably the most recognisable figure in Australian professional wrestling currently. So definitely going to be a banger there. Literally a clash of generations, and I cannot wait because I know what's happening, but I can't say it publicly until they announce it. But I cannot wait until you guys see some of these match announcements because it's going to be an awesome show, and obviously
awesome cause.
Means a lot. And unfortunately, the person that I was going to go through for the shirts fell through this time around, but I have just ordered the shirts for that, for that event.
Yes.
And hopefully, because I've ordered it in time, they'll arrive in time, but $10 from a shirt, every shirt will be going to Emma's charity, and of course is the Radiation Kick design, and I got that made up because my dad passed from the same, cancer as well, and that's actually how the Radiation Kick got its name. It was in honor of my dad, but it also kind of fit into the, Crossfire gimmick. It's a bit morbid when you think about it because it's like radiation, cancer, but also radiation, war, Crossfire.
Mutinism slash Deadpool.
It all slash Deadpool. But the Radiation Kick shirts have been ordered. Hopefully, fingers crossed they arrive in time. But no, the October 26th Emma Butler Memorial Show is probably, like, wrestling or otherwise, I've said it a few times, the thing I'm most looking forward to, perhaps selfishly this year. I mean, I'm turning 30 literally the week before, and obviously I'm excited to turn 30 because it's a dirty 30 and it's a big milestone. But no, just these ICW Central West shows have always been a special place in my heart. Obviously, I debuted there, on my 23rd birthday. Obviously, the previous one in 2022 was the first Emma Butler Memorial Show. This is the second. Going forward, we're always going to try and raise money in some form or fashion, and just keep Emma's memory alive as well. Of course, is the main thing. But yeah, they're very selfishly close to home, just because Emma did pass the same cancer as my dad. But yeah, November 23rd, Extreme Capital Wrestling, a Hard Day's Fight, their third show ever. A banger main event, a rematch from our first show, Jake Gibson, A-Shack. Again, they haven't posted the graphic on socials yet, but if you're at the show, previously in May, we all know that match was made by A-Shack defeating Jackson Thornhill. So I cannot wait for that match. We've said it at length and it's still at this point, we're literally just over halfway through the year, that A-Shack Jake Gibson match is still the match of the year for me in Australian wrestling. Regardless of promotion, like, I know maybe we're biased, but it was a fantastic match.
Definitely.
Both guys wrestled two separate times that night. It was three separate matches to go to the main event. What is math? we obviously had the 4-man, mini tournament, but they both wrestled twice that night and then still put out the performance they did. So with months upon months of preparation coming into it 100% against each other, I cannot wait to see what they do against each other. But again, tickets will be in the description. I'm ranting, I'm sorry. But yeah, it's appreciate it. Giant Kyote's links will obviously be there as well. Obviously, the Twitch is in his link tree, but I did still put last week, and I'll do it again for this episode, the link tree, and I'll still link the Twitch separately just because that's his main, it's his main gig, I guess, that's how he helps pay the bills is by doing his Twitch stream. So please make sure you go subscribe to him, follow him on that. You get, I think Twitch automatically, if you just follow someone, it automatically turns notifications on when they go live, which is awesome. Go do that
Definitely.
and support him. But with that being said, quickly before I wrap it up, I actually have just gotten WWE 2K24. So Universe Mode and My Rise for 2K23 may still happen, but it's going to be on the back burner now because obviously 2K24, I've only just got it, so I haven't experienced the other My Rise yet. So I'm going to be streaming that, and I'm going to go through, I'm going to do it in seasons. So season 1, I'm going to do the full baby, because I always just do full baby face and full heel, just so that way I don't forget what I've done.
Yeah.
So season 1, I'm going to do the babyface run of the men's, and then we'll go babyface run of the women's, and then season 2, we'll do heel men's, heels women. And because I haven't played it, it's probably going to be a lot more entertaining than the current one, because as I've been playing the 2K23 one, like I've forgotten a lot of it, but then as I was doing little bits and bobs, I'm like, oh, this is when this happens, and this is when that happens. I have no idea what's going to happen, so it's going to be fun. It's going to be very, very fun.
Yes.
It's going to be me basically reacting to it in real time on these streams. So, yeah, look out for that. Follow my Twitch. Obviously, I don't make a living of it like Coyote does, but please follow my Twitch while you're at it, and that is in the link tree, which will be there along with all the social medias, the Amazon wishlist, the GoFundMe, Pro Wrestling Tees, Titty Sprinkles. It's all there. Nova Lee has hers, which does, in fact, contain the Courtney Conversation social media.
And I put it on there from the beginning, so fight me.
I still remember, I think, the first week that you had that. I don't think it was there.
It was there. It was there, mate. It was there.
We're just going to have a domestic on air. But yeah, all the links are there. Come to an
His
event.
choking noises like from The Simpsons.
Come hang out. Especially if you're coming to the new the Emma Butler Memorial Show in October. Buy some of my merch. Donate it to a great cause. And yeah, just...
Also, speaking of merch, keep an eye out. As mentioned previously, Coyote
last week's
is
episode,
bringing
yes.
out some new merch. So keep an eye on
the
his
Do Hugs
socials
Not
for that
Drugs
too.
will be on a t-shirt. So sign me up.
I'm keen for that.
And he also has I think, what did he say, a white Power Ranger? Or was it the Green Ranger? I think it was the White Ranger.
The
yes.
White Power Ranger.
I just remember it was JDF. But yeah, the White Power Ranger, he's got a parody logo of Coyote in that style that he's releasing at some point.
Too.
So, hopefully we can get this medical stuff out of the way so I have the spare cash to spend so I can hit Coyote up and grab a couple of these shirts. But yeah, everything's there, all the links. I've ran it for too long. Song and match of the week were picked for, song was picked, bittersweet, but pay tribute in a way to Nova Lee's dad on his birthday today as we record this. Match of the week was picked because it's very topical for both last week's conversation and definitely this week's conversation. But I am the essential Giant Crossfire.
I am Nova Lee.
You guys were just caught
In conversation. Shaka laka laka.